Hi guys, it's Natalie here. I'm going to show you another page in my journaling Bible today and how it comes together, which I don't actually know the end result in my head right now, but that's half the beauty of doing this, is that I just sort of go with the flow and we'll see what inspiration strikes as we go along. I'm going to show you what's, I think, affectionately known as like an ink smooshing technique today. What you need for this is obviously your journaling Bible, some ink colours. You can actually use your ink pads. I like to use my spray inks quite a lot, not as sprays but for all sorts of painting, and so I'm going to use them today. And you need your Illustrated Faith Bible mat, or if you don't have one of these, you can very easily use any kind of plastic, like the backing of your stamps perhaps, or any kind of plastic packaging. It just needs to be not absorbent, I guess, and so this is perfect. So I'm going to be using this because it's going to involve some wet ink and these thin pages. It is going to go through the page, so to protect the back of it, I'm just going to put a bit of scrap paper behind where I'm journaling today. Now normally I would actually use my Bible mat, but because I'm using this for my technique, I'm just using some scrap paper. The verse that I'm doing today is in Lamentations, and I'll read that to you as we go along, but I'm going to start off. What I'm going to do is start opening up these inks, and we're just going to put little dots all over this. You don't need to get a whole lot of ink on here, just little dots. You can make little puddles if you prefer. I've chosen lots of different tones of yellow here. I don't have a particular favorite brand of ink. As you can see, I'm using lots of different brands here. I like colour, so whoever can give me colour, that's what I'm going for. So lots of yellows and oranges. Lots of yellow. We're going to go with lots of the yellow one particularly. And I'm obviously just doing this really quite randomly. There are lots of perhaps more precise ways of doing this technique, but it's just fun. Just have fun with it. And I'm adding a couple of little spots of pink here too, because I like pink. Now that's done, you want to, oh, already got some on my Bible, never mind. Give it all a spray with water. And see what's happening. You can already see what's going to happen here, is that it starts spreading out. Don't get it too wet, because I'm going to be very brave and just flip this over into my Bible. If you get it too wet, obviously it is going to drip everywhere. And here's the smooshing bit. Smoosh, smoosh, smoosh. This will create different effects every single time. There is no way of perfecting this technique. It will be fun and random and colourful. Da, da, da. Now you obviously need to wait for that to dry before you can do anything else. I'd suggest actually not going in with a heat gun, because that will make your page warp even more. I'm going to take that one out because it's a bit wet, and even put a new one in to protect that while it dries. Now, as I said, we just need to set that aside and dry. While we're doing that, let's just go on to one of the next steps that I'm going to do. So I've taken these this stamp set, the Explore stamp set, which matches or can correspond with the Strength stamp set, which comes with the Strength Devotional. And both of these were designed by Amy Lou Hawthorne, and you can use these. I think I'm going to use these obviously in my journaling Bible, but I reckon I can even use these for some cards or layouts or project life, everything really, because they're quite versatile. And so I saw these mountains and I was really quite inspired to use those as my starting point today. And what I'm going to do is a bit of some stamping and masking, because what sorry, bad crinkly noise. What I essentially want to do is use this little mountain and these mountains, but I want this little mountain to be on the side here, if you can get what I mean. And instead of wanting it to overlap and have those lines crisscross, we're going to do some masking so that that doesn't happen. The way to do that is first to make a mask. So I'm going to stamp this just onto some scrap paper. Nobody's going to see this bit, so it really doesn't matter if your stamping doesn't work out very well. It doesn't matter what colour paper you're using, nothing like that. And we're just going to cut it out. Again, it's not going to be 100% accurate, but it's got to be fairly close to those lines, okay? Alright, now I'll let you know the verse that I am doing is this quite well-known one in Lamentations chapter 3. The good ones here that I'm picking out, obviously it's all good, you know what I mean. Verse 22, the steadfast love of the Lord never ceases, his mercies never come to an end, they are new every morning. Great is your faithfulness. The Lord is my portion, says my soul, therefore I will hope in him. That whole chapter is really great about talking about, you know, when you're facing trials, that you can just rely on God to be faithful to you no matter what. And the little scene that I want to do here down the bottom, because there's quite a bit of space on here, is these mountains, and picking up on that theme of sort of his mercies are new every morning. I want to do a little sunrise coming out the top of those mountains, and we might use some of these trees as well, perhaps to make more of a scene. I'm just going to sort of see how it goes, but first of all I need to wait for this page to dry, so I'll come back when that's done. Now it's not 100% dry yet, but I am going to just start going in with my stickers, because I figure that won't really matter so much. And I'm going to start with you know, what I like to do, as you've seen time and time again, is to actually sort of repeat the verse that I'm focused on in the margins, just, you know, writing it out myself with word stickers, with stamps, etc, etc. So what I'm going to do is his mercies are new every morning, and if I start at the top, then I'll know that I've got some space down the bottom for my little, you know, mountain scene. So I am going to start with the big word mercies, which I'm going to use these ones for, and I'm going to go backwards. Let me write this out. His mercies are new every morning. That will just help me keep on track. So if I go with mercies, I'm going to start and go backwards so that I don't run off the margin or run off the edge. And I think I'm going to do his with these big ones, so I need to make sure I've got room at the top for that. So I should be able to start around about here. See, if I write it out, then I don't have to be worried about spelling it backwards or spelling it wrong or getting the words in the wrong order. Especially when I'm working backwards with words like this, which is often what I do just to make sure that I've got space. Oops. Ripped my C a little bit there. Now it's just going over the words in the Bible just a tiny little bit, but it's not covering up very much, and so you can still read what those words say. So I'm not going to bother with moving them too much further over. So we're going in with his. That works. His mercies are new. Now I was thinking of doing new as another one of my focal words with the alpha stamps, the homespun alpha stamps, which are available in the shop as well. What colour should we make these? When I'm doing these alpha stamps, I do like to do them one at a time rather than lining up the whole word on my stamp block. And again, I'm going to start backwards, so I'll start with that W. What have we decided on? Maybe, you know, let's stick with my normal colour scheme that I do everything with, and let's go blue. Just testing out that the stamps work by stamping them a couple of times. Just make sure that I've got the ink, you know, all the way across my stamp. So W. Now, as I was saying, I do it a letter at a time, and the reason I do that is because then I can actually get the letters closer to one another. Because I find that when you line them all up on your stamp block, because of the extra sort of bit around the edge, it can leave quite a bit of space sometimes between the letters, and I prefer mine to be nice and close together. And I'm simply cleaning my stamp by splashing it on the spare paper there. And to give it even more definition, I will just outline these letters with my pen. And maybe the his as well. Sometimes if I start this journey of outlining letters, then I figured that maybe once you're one in, all in, so there's a distinct possibility that later on I'm going to go around those ones as well and do that. But let's just continue on. His mercies, and see, I didn't leave space for the R. Now what are we going to do? We can, even though I've written it here, I still managed to mess it up. We will write R side on here. How about that? Problem solved. His mercies are new. Why didn't you tell me? Every morning. Let's see, what should we do every morning with? I think we need to go maybe for something a little bit smaller. Oops. So let's go with one of these. I think maybe blue. Now let's get to stamping our scene here. I'm using my Stays On ink, my favourite ink for stamping. Let's get our Bible map under there now. And let's see, so the way I wanted to do this is we're gonna do it down here where there's a little bit of space, and that one's gonna go underneath, or yeah, underneath. So that means that I need to stamp the big one first. So inking up my stamp, and this goes down first. And then I made another mask with that one as well, because that's the one I needed, not the one that I showed you. So I've just put the mask just over the top of the stamp, and then you can stamp this one over the top where you want it to go. And ta-da! Now that it hasn't worked out quite precisely, but I can still see it and trace it there. But you see what I mean? So if I hadn't put the mask down, then you would have got the edge of that mountain stamp coming over here and just making it look, in my mind, just a little bit messier. And you know, I'm not adverse to mess in my Bible, but you know what I'm getting at. Now, the next question is, do I want one of these cute trees to pop up behind as well? That is pretty cute. Let's do that tree. So let's use this mask this time. Let's just test the stamp. See, I think the reason that mountain didn't work so well when I stamped at that time is because it's the first time I'm using these stamps, and when you use it the first time, sometimes they need to sort of be conditioned, if you like, and getting some ink on it is the best way of doing that. So let's pop him here. And see, once again, now it looks like that tree is behind the mountain rather than in front of it. So I think that's what I'm going to do as far as the stamping is concerned. As I said, I wanted to add, I'm just going to hand draw in a little sun here, because that's fairly simple, even I can do that. Say it, says I with confidence. And then I'm going to think about what some other little details that I want to put on here, and I'll finish it all off. But essentially those are the things that I wanted to show you. The technique with the ink smooshing for the background colour, and the technique with the masking for your stamps, so that you can get lots of layers of different stamps in there without it overlapping. Okay, so thank you for joining with me, and I hope that you've learnt something new here, and I'll come back and show you my finished page. And this is what it looks like in the end. I've managed to fill up all of the space with some more writing, the rest of the verse, "Great is thy faithfulness." I have added the colour to the stamping that I've done, and lots of little details of the little stamps. They all come from this stamp set though, which you can find in the Illustrated Faith Etsy shop. I hope that you've been able to perhaps learn a new technique to try out in your journaling Bible today. Thank you for joining with me, and I'll see you again next time. Bye.